Well, have you seen the markets this year? I mean, they're all over the place because they don't understand what's going on. When they do understand it, they're in denial because they don't like it. Today, I'm sure they'll be through the roof because of this this ceasefire, which they'll think is a complete peace deal. But they don't recognize the fact that we are seeing a strategic shift away from the way things were done, which is markets at the center of everything, to geopolitics, national security, economic statecraft at the center of everything, and markets being at the periphery. Markets being told, you need to do this for the greater good. And I go back to pharma again, where for decades America has paid much higher drug prices than everyone else, subsidized by the rest of the world, effectively. Or the rest of the world is subsidized by the fact that Americans pay more. Sorry, let me express it like that. So Trump's now saying, no, those prices need to come down sharply in America, which means they'll go up everywhere else. So maybe the drug companies will be all right balancing. I'm not sure what the correct ratio is. I don't cover that sector. But it's entirely possible they'll just make less money. At which point, well, you say, okay, you make less money, but we need people to have cheaper drugs. That's not how because markets, as I flippantly call it, works. Because markets says, well, we need to make more money, so therefore this. Economic statecraft says, no, we need to do this, therefore you make less money.
Yeah, and it does seem to have been, you know, if you look at the last 20 years, margins have just sort of, I don't know if it's 20 years or even 10 years, they've just rapidly increased, especially after COVID. So it does seem like there does need to be a normalization of company margins. As you said, that's probably negative for asset prices, stock prices.
Well, it's very volatile because in some countries you'll have inflation and massive surges in capital investment, and in others you'll have deflation, and you've got far too much capital investment because you won't be making as much stuff. So it's not a global response you're seeing, it's a regional or individual country one. There'll be winners and losers. Sectors that have done badly up until now will do relatively better. Sectors that have done well will probably do relatively worse. Currencies are the really interesting one as well, because depending on how you structure this change in your mind, you're either very bullish on the dollar or you're very bearish. And you're either very bullish on the renminbi or you're very bearish. You're either very bullish on commodities like gold and crypto, or you're very bearish. And you have to make an internally consistent narrative and a logical narrative to explain why one goes up and the other one goes down, depending on how this plays out. But only understanding how it will play out will tell you where they all go. So it's up to you to decide, but you can't just play them day to day and expect to get it right. You know, you have to have a view on what's really happening.